Welcome back to the Nutrimedical Report, the place where you need to go, the only place where you want to go if you want to get well. We combine the very best wellness and medical advice, as well as fitness technologies, and of course NutriMeds, which are the best nutraceuticals on the planet, and bar none. And here, Michelle, the host for the most, is here with your questions and announcements. What's the new announcements today, Michelle?
Hey, hi everyone. August the 1st. I always like to say the date so I don't forget. August the 1st already.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill. Bill just got me some new headphones here. Can you turn that volume down a little bit for me?
I can.
You got me headphones that are as big as his. I feel like I'm on Mars or something here.
Is that good there?
That's better.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
That's yeah, thanks. So we're just testing out the earphones here. They look funny?
No, they look great on you. Yeah, they look good. They're actually identical to mine.
I used to have nice little teeny ones till they fell apart.
But you want to actually have professional audio headphones that go around your head, so you've got good, sound there.
Uh-oh.
So you can actually hear what you sound like.
Do I have to be professional today then?
Somewhat.
God, you got high hopes. Here we go. I've got. Well, I guess we should at first let you know what products are on sale. But that's getting boring. Just go to the website, Nutrimedical.com, Nutrimedical.com, and you'll see everything that's on sale if you're looking for
and there's always
specific.
Sales.
There's always a sale on the front page.
Yeah.
So you go check that out yourself. You don't have to hear us rattle that off again. I've got lots of questions today, and I'm going to start off with our friend Lloyd, Bill, from Nelson, BC.
Oh, yes.
Up in Canada. And he had a recent diagnosis he wanted me to tell you about on the air today, and it's called renal sarcoidosis. He wanted to know why, how do you get that, where does it come from, and anything that you know about it.
Yeah, there's a test called KVIM test, K-V-E-I-M. Mm-hmm. And sarcoidosis is caused, we're pretty certain it's caused actually by a Lyme-like parasite that actually infects you and creates a cross-reacting antibody that attacks various tissues. Most people with sarcoidosis doesn't just affect their kidneys, it'll affect their connective tissues of the lungs. Mm-hmm. It'll affect connective tissues of their muscles and other tissues of their body. It can affect, of course, sarcoid kidney. You get a precipitation of proteins that can affect the glomeruli, so it can cause renal dysfunction.
But where would you get it?
You get it because you get bitten. You see, what happens is we have a swarm of, I'm an infectious detective, okay? When I went into infectious disease back with Dr. Robert Brown back when I was doing my biochemistry, one of the first things we did is we walked through the hospital with regular agar and blood agar plates, and we plated out.
What do you mean?
These are plates that you put in an incubator after you swab them with a little. You flash the swab with a little, alcohol, and you take the alcohol swab, right, which is
swab what? What do you
and you swab the plate.
You
swab anything: the counters, the doctor's tie, the surgical equipment, the walls, whatever.
Yeah.
And what you find is, and if you just start looking around the world at all the different bugs.
So what did you find by doing all these swabs?
We found that hospitals are filthy pigsties. But not just that. Now, then we'll expand to the whole world. We got Ebola. Mm-hmm. It's in a number of countries. The World Health Organization has been holding off and panicking because it's only one flight away. I just found out that there's a big explosion of Ebola in Liberia, and it turns out there's a large Liberian community. I talked to Ann Morrison this morning in Minnesota. Large Liberian community. Now, if those people decide to get on a flight and they're carrying it and they're shedding the virus but they're not yet sick, because this new version of Ebola, you don't get sick in 2 or 3 days and then die. 90% die. 10% survive, but they don't survive very well. Mm-hmm. But there's bugs everywhere. For example, the white-footed mouse carries 32 different pathogens. Uh-huh. So if you take the little white-footed mouse and you're an infectious disease kind of like nerdomaniac, and you've got all kinds of different weird cultures, viral cultures, microaerophil cultures, anaerobic cultures. What you find is that they're carrying a lot of bad, weird bugs.
Right.
Including
so how does this all go back to sarcosis? You're going on a rabbit trail. You're not a mouse trail, a rabbit trail.
There's 34 different forms of spirochetes similar to Lyme disease, babesiosis or lichiosis, just in Northern Europe.
So this is how Lloyd got this renal sarcoidosis.
Yeah, now the other doctors may not know that. Okay, most doctors don't. But it's
Why is it renal? Can it be a different kind? Or
it's probably affecting other organs, but they may be discovered because his renal function was decreased.
Yes.
Now, if I remember correctly, Lloyd also went through some other therapies that I didn't necessarily approve, for detoxification, and those will kind of amplify things because they throw your electrolytes off and can put your kidneys under stress that are already stressed. But, and of course, if you take things to turn it off, you want to take things like things to reduce cytokine levels, inflammatory cytokines like high-dose Power C, full vitamin K2, Allergon, Allerblock, cell detox glutathione, cell defense, extremely important. Things to protect the nephrons, such as vein away. In other words, the Regenerex, and you're taking all these things to reduce free radical load, cut the cytokine levels down, and get rid of the inflammatory molecules that are causing autoimmune disease. Okay. And things like even mild hyperbaric oxygen. In the kidneys, you can use LUMEN photon therapy, etc. So there's lots of ways of actually reducing, and you can actually measure the cytokine levels. You can measure the GFR of the kidneys. You can measure the type of protein. It's a urine collection, 24-hour collection in a big jug. Okay. It's pretty simple.
Next is Eleanor Bill from Texas. She called on Monday, and I spoke with her that she's losing a lot of hair. And she went to her doctor, and they put her on Armour Thyroid, for
they probably identified that she was,
but she said that she's even getting worse.
Well, the problem is that Armour Thyroid is better than levothyroxine or Synthroid. But the problem is that thyroid isn't just giving thyroid hormone. You need to have selenium to deiodinate your thyroid. You need to have all the other trace minerals. There are actually 7 minerals, including zinc, copper, trace amounts of iron, and its organic 3 state, etc. And usually the adrenal glands are going as well. When your thyroid is going, you put extra stress on your adrenals, so they're trying to take the load, if you want to call it. And also, when the doctor measures it, they may only be partially correcting your thyroid because they're going to try to get your T4 up. T4 is not a hormone, it's a pro-hormone. Until they remove the iodine in the 5' position to convert it to T3, it has 1/4000th the biological strength on the receptor in these crystal galli as T3. Okay, and your body, if it's converting to reverse T3, RT3, it actually blocks your thyroid hormone, so you can actually have functional hypothyroidism, even though your blood levels of T4 and T3 free are normal, because your RT3 is high. High RT3 is high diabetics, people who are obese, and people that have, we call resistant thyroid syndrome, like PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, etc. So what I'd say is take Collagen Max, take adrenal support, take Nutriodine, take our selenium cruciferate, and our Vitamin Max Minerals Plus to get all your trace minerals. Make certain that you're taking things to rebuild the hair, which would be things like Mountain Red Velvet, Tendon Mender, which is the collagen type 1 collagen, all those kind of things. And then, of course, if you have anti-thyroid antibodies, we've got to cool off the thyroid because it's being attacked. And there's ways of doing that.
Next is a praise report from Audrey. Hi, Audrey, over there in Georgia. When we talk for a long time, don't we? But I thought it was really interesting, her story, Bill, of having a breast cancer, about the size of your little finger, discovered in December.
Right.
And she's taking Malignarest and Malignablock and a bunch of other of our products, and she just wanted me to say the praise report that it's now the size of a nickel, 1.4 or whatever, on the PET scan.
1.4, a nickel, you mean?
Like just a nickel, there's coin, dimes, nickels.
Yeah, it went down from what?
A finger to down to a nickel.
Finger, you mean the size of a finger?
Yeah.
So it's shrunk quite a bit. That's good.
Right. So that's a praise report.
Yeah, the best way to monitor if it's getting better is not a digital CT scan or a mammogram. It's a high-resolution, special weighted MRI scan, and you put a carbon marker at the spot where the site is, and then if they need to do it, they do needle biopsy and karyotype analysis with the pathologist looking at it under scanning electron microscopy. Okay. And then you can also do DNA markers at that lab in Phoenix I mentioned. There's also another lab I found out in the Northeast, near Boston. Good. And they can actually do tests on the genes, the specific genes that are switched on, and the FDA just announced this week they're going to start promoting but monitoring more closely the labs that do these gene tests because it's all what Brzezinski's talking about, right?
You didn't find anything in Mexico yet, did you?
Well, I know a number of clinics there, but
because they're usually less expensive.
They're more innovative and they're more willing to take on things like, for example, they have less red tape if they're going to do even alternative cancer therapies or hyperthermia or bicarbonate injections or all kinds of things.
Well, it looks like this is the end of this.
And we're back, Michelle, segment number 2. You have lots of questions, so let's rock and roll.
A couple more little comments, just from people that I spoke to on Monday. Monday, by the way, is the day that you can call 888-212-8871, and I will talk to anybody and about anything.
Sounds good.
Samuel from Pennsylvania wanted me to say this on the air, that instead of going out and eating 20 or 30 hamburgers and junk food, put your money into NUTRIMEDS like he does and be healthy. There you go.
That's good.
Okay, Sam, you got to say that.
Dump the latte loaded with 20 teaspoons of sugar and get your glycemics and get exercise and get a vibrational platform and feel great.
And one more comment here is from Kevin. Kevin lives up in Simi Valley here in California. And his dog, I think he said he was a lab, he likes to chew on wood. And he's got something caught in his throat. I thought he should take him to the vet, and he was wondering if Silver 100 would help. But if he's got something lodged in there...
Well, if he's got an infection, he could have scraped and he could have an infection of his esophagus. Yeah. But if it's impacted... Yeah. And so you don't know, and even the thing is that if you do a regular x-ray, you won't pick it up unless it's a soft tissue x-ray.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, or you might see some abnormalities around it. The best thing to do is what's called a barium-type swallow. Mm-hmm. So you do an esophagogram, so you basically, a vet that knows how to do that test, they give the doggy something to drink that he can see radiologically. Is there something down there? They have to put a scope down and grab it and pull it out with his forceps.
Okay.
So.
Okay, into the emails, Bill. We'll start with Mark from San Diego, right here in beautiful San Diego. Dr. Bill, love your show and want your input. It would be awesome to speak to you, as I've been affected, like many, from our environmental conditions. I commute by air for work from the British Isles to Oahu for the last 6 years. I'm pretty sure I've taken a big whack from radiation exposure. My body for a while now is going through unusual activity, and I'm in San Diego right now, and any correspondence from you would be highly valued, and Jesus is Lord.
The first thing is the Malaysian air flight teams that go every fly between Malaysia and Vancouver are limited by regulation now over the past year and a half to 2 years that they can only fly one crew per month. Oh. Because the radiation is so high traveling between Malaysia over northern Japan. Wow. That we're having their hair fall out and getting open sores and their teeth falling out of their heads. So yes, you're right. Gee. And the problem is where we have major reports now from the Alaskan fishermen that the fishery in Alaska and right down the coast is dying. Mm-hmm. So the Pacific Ocean is dying.
You know, I get my halibut from the East Coast.
Yeah. Now, our radiation levels, by the way, are people often say, "Oh, you poor people in the West Coast." No. The radiation may be much higher in Idaho or even in the northeastern United States or on the east coast of Europe. It depends on where the intersecting airstreams push it down or cause precipitation of rain. So our levels of radiation in the northern hemisphere are higher. But by the way, don't be arrogant in the southern hemisphere. The escalator that carries along the coastal waters, 26 months to carry radiation to every ocean on Earth. And there's also an escalator at the 80,000 foot higher levels, 100,000 feet, that carries 300 times the water of the Amazon every day from the northern to the southern hemisphere.
So what advice would you have? What would you, I would say the Nutridyne would help protect them?
Nutrichala, Nutridyne, Nutridefense, those are the three biggies.
The three biggies.
Yeah, and then the chelation.
Go to the core four, that's
and Kilormax.
Okay.
For the heavy metals.
Next is Dorothy from La Punte, I think you say, California. Hello, I'm 57 years old and am in pretty good health. The doctor says I have very high triglycerides, otherwise I am in pretty good shape. I could stand to lose a few pounds. I am concerned with the GMOs and chemtrails. I feel the heavy metals are affecting me adversely, but doctors do not test for heavy metals in blood samples, so they say I'm fine. My friend had to pay extra to have heavy metal testing for aluminum and found he had a very high level in his blood.
Right. Well, the best way is to measure, go to labtestingdirect.com. They'll measure up to, I think, 18 or 20 minerals, including regular minerals and heavy metals in your red blood cells. Mm-hmm. Most people in North America have lead, arsenic, and other things in them. And now, of course, we have radiotoxin from Fukushima.
Or do like I do and take the Kilormax and not worry about it, and you don't have to test. Just get rid of it.
You could do that. And the other thing I'd recommend that people think about is they could also take our ultrazeolite. But you have to take additional minerals because it's going to pull the good ones out too. So you want to take Vitamin Mineral Max and Minerals
I have
Plus.
Minerals Plus too.
Mineral
I have
Plus
it all.
and Vitamin Mineral Max.
Plus
Of
the
course,
drinks.
it's always in our drinks, yeah.
What
But-
did I ask you this morning when I'm there taking my pills and I'm looking at the thing and I go, BioLVR, what is that? Why am I taking that?
The BioLVR, BioLVR has the activated B6, B12, and folic acid, and it helps to methylate, which removes heavy metals like mercury, lead, arsenic, etc. And it also supports brain myelination, digestive enzymes, and peripheral myelination, and detoxification in your liver, because methylation is one of the main pathways.
She goes on to say, I also have an adult son, 26 years old, who suffers from colitis and IBS with ulcers. His diet is very restrictive, but he still eats what he likes. And can he be cured of ulcerative colitis and IBS?
Yeah, the first thing is ulcerative colitis is a cross-reacting antibody against Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which are a particular fungus. So, just like, for example, ulcerative colitis is a fungal infection, and it's a cross-reacting antibody, which means the fungus has a portion of its proteins that's identical to the splanchnic membrane or the basement membrane of the bowel wall. What you want to do is use our antifungals, berberstatin, allicin med, nutriodine, and silver 100. You want to rebuild the wall with Ageless, which includes Immunomax and SGS, the SGS and Malignablock. You want to use berberstatin regularly, 2 capsules twice a day, allicin med, 1-2 capsules twice a day at least. You want to recolonize the Living Probiotic Ultra, and you got to stop the inflammation with Cell Defense, Nutri-Defense, Omega Supreme, Krill, and phospholipids to rebuild the bowel wall, which include Nutrifos, Neurogen, and Omega Cod Liver Liquid, which, because in ulcerative colitis, the terminal ileum is damaged and they don't absorb the fat-soluble vitamins. So Omega Supreme Krill will help to correct that.
Dorothy goes
And, of course, the Omega Cod Liver Liquid.
Dorothy goes on to say that his wife suffers from food allergies, and do you have something to help with allergies?
By the way, he should get food allergy test, and the test should measure IgG and IgE. And the food allergy test I recommend is better than doing a rotation elimination diet. You do simply the test and then eliminate those foods. Best thing to do is...
if you don't do the test and you can't afford it, then what?
Rotation diet. What you do is you basically rotate out the things that you think you're sensitive to, like peanuts or wheat or other things.
Right.
Keep it on your diet for, say, a month, and then reintroduce and see, and keep a diary. And if you react to it, stop it.
Right. Next is Michael in an email. Hello, my dad had cataract surgery in both eyes about 1 year ago. In the beginning, everything was fine. His vision seemed better. But now he's complaining of his vision again. It's not as good as it was originally after the surgery. What do you think the problem could be, and can it be corrected? And he said, FYI, he does have underlying diabetes. Do you think his vision problem can be connected to this?
Yeah, there's going to be inflammation in his eye if he's diabetic. All diabetics basically have fungi everywhere, including in their eye.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd recommend?
And so what you want to do is you want to take Nutritralis, Can-C, and Silver 100 for the eye infection.
Put the Silver 100 right in the eye.
Right in the eye. 1 drop 4 times a day of the Can-C, 2 drops of Silver 100. Nutritrala for the eye regeneration, Neurogen orally, Nutrifos, Omega Supreme Krill for the eye. And then, of course, I'd use Lumen Photon in the eye to reduce intraocular pressure and retinal inflammation. Welcome back, and we're here again with your questions from emails or our order line, 888-212-8871. And, of course, the sites are NUTRI, medical.com. And the other site dealing with geopolitical, spiritual, etc. is clayandIron.com, CLAYANDIRON.com.
No one ever goes there.
Well, not during this hour, but I put the spiritual instincts, bio-government technology, geopolitical, and many other things that aren't covered by Nutrimedical. In fact, you'll start seeing a lot of the...
That's just the sidekick.
Yeah.
Okay, Bill, how about Andrea from Oregon? We've heard from Andrea before. She says, is this a question for Friday's show? Hi, Michelle and Dr. Bill. Hope this message finds you well. Yes, we are. Thank you, Andrea. I have been feeling very fatigued with frequent headaches, night sweats, joint pain, occasional heart palpitations, and just generally not feeling great. I got some blood work done, including an iron panel, to see if perhaps I am anemic. My iron panel results are as follows there, Bill. 245?
Yeah, total iron binding capacity.
And this is the rest of her iron serum.
Yeah, 45.
45 saturation.
Yeah, B12 very high, which don't worry about B12 being high. That's good.
Right. She says, on a side note, my brother has, what's that?
Hemochromatosis.
Diagnosed at age 35, discovered when he suddenly became diabetic. I was tested and am a carrier of the disease, a single mutation.
Yeah.
My question is, what could be possible causes of such high levels of B12? And do you think I could be starting to load iron based on my iron saturation of 45?
Don't worry about the B12. Just the normals that the lab quotes are insane. Mm-hmm. Most people are B12 deficient. If you have a high B12, thank God. Mm-hmm. The iron level, the fact that your iron binding capacity, your serum iron is 111. Your iron binding capacity is low. You actually are iron deficient. If you want to correct your iron deficiency, you want to use ferritin. I recommend the Bio-LVR for B12 and folic acid. It'll get your B12 and folate up. And don't worry about the B12. If your blood's low, I also recommend Mountain Red Velvet for building up your blood. If you've got chronic night sweats and so on, you're probably have an infection. Stealth infection could be anything, from fungi to sinus infections to bronchitis to a viral infection to anaerobic gut bacteria to dysbiosis. I'd start off with taking an Allicin 3 times a day, Silver 100, 3 drops for 1 spray per 10 pounds body weight, and Nutridyne at least 10 drops in water 3 times a day.
She might be pregnant too, wasn't she? Andrea pregnant?
Yeah, but you can take these things. They're quite safe during pregnancy, whatever. The dosages you're taking are very tiny, and they're actually going to protect you from infection. If you've got Group B strep, for example, with a pregnancy, if you're getting night sweats, you have to assume you're infected. And also, of course, monitor your blood pressure to make sure you're not magnesium deficiency, because you can get early signs of toxemia, which is an infection. We know that toxoplasmosis is probably the trigger for toxemia. And although it's very hard to diagnose Toxoplasma catus and canis, it's related also to magnesium deficiencies and stealth pathogens. So what you want to do is have the doctor look in your eyes to make sure you don't see toxoplasmosis. There are blood titer tests you can do. Yeah. But the main thing is get your magnesium level up with magnesium glycinate malate, and that's going to help reduce the night sweats along with the antipathogenics. And things to reduce your cytokines like Power C will reduce the the sweating spells as well.
Next is Melanique from Escondido, California, because that's just up the road.
Around the corner, half hour away.
Next spot up the road here. Dear Dr. Bill, my husband and I feel we could benefit from Prolozone for joints and cartilage. Do you know of any therapy for joint and cartilage?
Prolozone basically is using ozone to try to create scar tissue in joints. I've seen some people say that think that there's been benefit by doing prolotherapy. I personally think taking our enzymes, which is Inflamex and Cell Defense, and getting deep tissue massage with the MAGNESMOOTHE and our curcumin cream is superior. If we improve, for example, your energy metabolism in your muscles, it'll stop cartilage. If you want to improve cartilage, you want to take joint performance and tendon bender, which heals the problem, rather than creating new scar tissue. Right. And if you want to heal joints, you want to take joint performance, tendon bender, collagen max, Mountain Red Velvet. So I'm not a proponent of prolotherapy or prolozone, which is basically using ozone therapy. Yeah.
Next is our friend Rich from Pennsylvania, and he says, Dr. Bill, regarding our pure water ice that we always have, I've got it right here in my glass now, except I never drink it on the air. I wait till the commercial. Right. And look at you picking yours up right now. We're still on the air. Bill, that's bad.
I am bad.
You do it on the air, and you told me you don't.
I just did that for you there. My brain was triggered to say.
There is the proof.
You're thirsty now. Yeah, but I was.
You're hot.
But I didn't
don't do it on the air.
I didn't clink any ice
He says, "Can you put a picture of the ice on the website?"
Well, if you don't have the fourth element, which is the magnesium and calcium. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to get if you have they're so clean, they actually form weird spikes because the water molecules crawl over each other as they form ice, as they freeze.
You're talking about how we put those.
And you can see those
back
if you actually
into the water after it's
right. And our system has that, so it's going to reduce those spiky things. Mm-hmm. But we still see them. And I pull the ice out of the ice change, like it looks different. It looks like it's otherworldly because it's got these weird spikes on it because it's so clean. It actually forms these weird kind of like halo spikes on it.
Well, speaking of the pure water system, Joe from East Sussex, United Kingdom, he says, I've had a problem with my Bev 100 pure water system because he can't fit on his taps. They don't fit on the taps.
All you have to do is send a picture of the tap, and we have adapters that
we do have.
Bob Jenner will send him an adapter, which is couple bucks. And all you do is send a picture to Bob Vineyard over at Pure Water Systems, and he'll find an adapter that works. If you give you specifically the plumbing dimensions, you'll be able to actually get one that fits perfectly.
You were just about to drink that again. That's what they're hearing. When people say,
No.
what is he
That's
doing?
if I have an open glass with ice. The ice is in the bottom.
You can hear it dingling in there. Look, here he goes. See? Oh, I can hear that.
No, you have
Stop
to.
Stop
it. You and Spider-Man can hear that. Nobody else.
Gosh. Anyways.
Does that mean you're Spider-Girl? Go ahead.
I'll talk to you after the show.
I'm being bad,
Ron from Denver. I'm saying the city this time. Denver, Colorado, since we lived in Denver for 1,000 years. He says, "Hi, Dr. Deagle. I am currently still taking your prescribed NutriMeds, and I contacted that Brzezinski clinic," he says, in March, and they verbally felt that amputation was probably the best answer. Since your direction below, I've had a second round of MRI showing the continued existence of the sarcoma in the right hand. Due to those results, on June the 30th, the University of Colorado went in and removed 7 centimeters off the top of the right middle index finger.
Right.
Skin graft was put on top of the finger, and this removed mass was sent to the Mayo Clinic,
Right.
Which was confirmed that the cancer was not fully excised. And a microscopic presence, it's still left in the right hand.
Right.
I am now being directed towards possible radiation treatment at the University of Colorado versus amputation. Would proton treatment at the MD Anderson Houston be better? I am also open to exploring other options.
There's other clinics that will do things. For example, in Italy, Dr. Tullio Simoncini has been using things like perfusion therapy to put bicarbonate in, and they actually find the artery supplying the area, and when they do that,
I'll give you this email.
There's other alternative approaches in other countries. I'm really not a proponent of radiation therapy because it tends to, firstly, what radiation does, and you have to understand what a cancer is. Mm-hmm. And this is what a lot of doctors, including oncologists, don't know, and I'm going to explain it. Yeah. For every cancer cell, there's a cancer stem cell. When you cut out a cancer, like a breast cancer, bowel cancer, you've cut out the cancer cells, but not the cancer stem cells. 100% of people who have had cancer have cancer stem cells 5 years after their cancer is cut out and they're still in remission. If you radiate it or you treat it with aggressive drug therapy, it makes the cancer cells totally resistant to radiation and drug therapy. Of the previous drugs.
Oh, yeah?
So then if it ever turns back from the stem cells into a cancer again, they're real bad. So in other words, it's circulating all through your body as stem cells, but they're not turning into cancer. So people don't know that you might have taken out the cancer, but not the stem cells that can turn back into cancer, but now they're going to be resistant. So I tend to approach the biochemistry and the gene issues and things like malignant block, malignant arrest, high-dose other therapies rather than using radiation.
Malignant arrest is great.
Yeah.
With malignant block.
Yeah. Welcome back, and I hear a whistling host here with lots of emails packed in her right hand, ready to read off your questions.
Bill, next is Stephen from Indiana. Dr. Deagle, I'm a big fan. I listen to your programs every day. I make roughly $6,000 per year. Oh, my goodness. $6,000 a year.
That's quite a bit below the poverty line.
Wow.
Hope he's living, how can I say it, with his parents or with relatives, because $6,000 a year isn't enough to really survive in this country.
Well, he says, I'm looking for a remedy path for my 20-year-old illness. So he must be like, maybe. Anyways, it's chronic fatigue syndrome.
Well, the chronic fatigue syndrome.
You know what he says here, Bill? I pray all the time for God's blessings and healing. And I also ask Jesus to bring my prayers to our Heavenly Father. Well,
that's good. And we try to help people like this too.
But nothing ever comes. I'm physically weak and I cannot get strong in the spirit right now. So I'm going to give you this.
If I was going to give him 2 things to start with, I'd give him Nutridyne and Cognition Plus. Cognition Plus will activate his brain and his mitochondria.
I'm going to check that donations thing and see if that's on there.
And those would be the first 2 I'd give him, Cognition Plus and Nutridyne, the most powerful of our antipathogenics. Okay. And be surprised. And then you don't even need to put it in water. If you take a half a dropper and put it on your forearms and rub it together 4 times a day, or if you put it in water, it'll knock out all pathogens, yeast, fungi, bacteria, viruses. In fact, Ebola. And people are all panicking about Ebola. The reason is the federal government and the regular doctors have nothing to stop it. No hazmat procedures, no HEPA filters in the aircraft, no means of monitoring or identifying people who are carriers of the virus. they're not looking for anything. And we'll talk about that in hour
Next
3.
is Gerald Bill. He's a dentist from Pennsylvania. Hi, Dr. Deagle. I need your help. I'm filing a formal complaint against PECO, Philadelphia Electric Company, regarding their installation of a smart meter on my house. I would appreciate an electronic copy of your research and any other links that would assist me before he goes to his hearing with an administrative judge. So I'll give this to you, Bill, and you can help him with that because you've got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, we have some material, although I haven't compiled it together. I'm probably going to put together a material for my federal lawsuit. In fact, I talked to Jonathan Nemord's secretary today, and there's a legal group in Phoenix that once my suit's filed, they'll be able to convert it. Really not going to be getting involved with zillions of cases, or I would be so busy I couldn't even do my show. So when my case is filed, they can use that as a basis for a class action suit. Otherwise, listen to the program, see the documents I'll post up, including I'll post some articles which are going to post not only on my site, but over on the GCN Live site and over on rents.com.
Okay, this one here is Ellie from Texas. I think she's probably the same Eleanor we talked about earlier, because she says, I love listening to your radio show. I know that you do diagnosis for people. I'm a bit of a train wreck, but my biggest concern is the hair loss. We've already had that. She called that in. She want to make sure she gets on there, right?
Yeah.
Get it from all angles.
Send several emails, yeah.
Let's see. Next is Anthony from Montana. Good morning, Dr. Deagle. Anthony here. I completely keep forgetting to send the zip files to the rest of my family. He's talking about his QRMA files, Bill, so he's going to send his mom. She's visiting from California. He wanted to tell you how much better he's feeling, Bill.
Good.
But he says he's taking almost 100 pills a day. Well, tell him that's, he wants to know. I'm going to ask if that is too many. And if I can divide them in 4 separate segments, yes.
Oh, great. Divide them up, yeah. And what I do, actually, the way I tell people to take their pills is when you see your protocols, I usually divide it up to twice a day. The morning one is the most important to take everything we have in the protocol. And when I do what I call a red light, green light thing later on. So in other words, you don't necessarily pull everything. Then they go and take the ones that you think, basically, and you can almost do this in prayer. So you can go, I'll take this one today and this one and that one. Each day may vary a little bit. And your body will talk to you, and you've just kind of focus and pray. You'll know, okay, I'm going to do red light, green light, so you don't feel like you're taking 100. Now, as time goes on, we retest you, whether it's a QRMA or functional medicine tests, you're going to get, that number's going to contract dramatically. When someone's really sick, and the really sick people mean they're beyond what's called compensating for stress, which means they can't tolerate physical stress, electromagnetic stress, emotional stress, financial stress. Their body's got tons of free radicals, and their genes are getting switched on and off, and they're on their way to autoimmune disease and cancer, and there's pathogens everywhere. And as we start clearing pathogens, shutting down the cytokines, the inflammatory cytokines, and getting things fixed, you need a lot less. But initially, it seems very overwhelming. What I usually tell people to do is take time.
Break it up over a couple days, too. Look at me with the Bio-LVR. I will take that every 3rd day. And then I have ones that I take every day, and then ones that I take every 3rd day.
That way you're still on the protocol, but you're kind of splitting it up.
Yeah, and I've always done that.
And then you can actually go back
to make that clear, because often it sounds like, it's overwhelming. It's too much.
Well, what I do personally is I take everything that I have in my protocol in the morning, and I'll take an abbreviated version later in the day, and it's red light, green light. And depending on how late it is, try not to take them too late, because if you take it after 7 or 8 o'clock at night, it can be stimulatory and can break up your sleep, because it's going to basically give you soup up your system, so your body basically so energized it's hard to sleep or
so
settle
Anthony
down.
Goes on to say that he's getting the LUMEN PHOTON, which is nice, but he wants to thank you for all that you do for the health of so many and his family.
And the QRMA is, I think, one of the neat little tests.
It is cool.
You can actually monitor your progress. We have people that have been on now over a year now, and they're showing dramatic reductions. For example, we have one gentleman I just saw last week. He's down to, like, this number huge, down to, like, 1/4 what he was on, and he's, like, virtually, like,
he's
a specimen now. I mean, like, he is what I call super healthy, like.
Yeah. Bill, next is TJ from Georgia. Hello, Dr. Bill. I have heard you give the formula for a breakfast lunch recipe, but he'd like for you to
breakfast lunch, you mean for the drinks?
Yeah, the drinks.
What I personally put together is I take, in my big Ninja blender, which is like 2.5 liters or whatever, it's big,
And it's loud. You can hear it from here
it'll
to
chop
San Diego.
Yeah, you want to chop up ice cubes. Although it's strong enough, you could blend your cell phone.
Is that why you're making so much racket? You're putting ice in there too.
No, that's only the first one when I make it. Usually because it lasts a few days, 2 or 3 days at least. What I do is I put 2 scoops of glycemics chocolate, 2 scoops of life support, 2 scoops of ageless energize. 2 little scoops.
This is to last you over a few days.
Or 3 or 4 days, yeah. Two little scoops of the NutriComplete. About 30 to 40 mils of the omega cod liver liquid. 3 dropperfuls of Nutriodine. I put in D-ribose, at least a teaspoon of D-ribose and a teaspoon of ALC 1000. And I put in about maybe 8 or 10 ounces of almond coconut milk. The one I like is Khalifa. It has no sugar at all in it. It's toasted almonds and coconut milk, and so it's 0 sugars. And the rest is pure water system ice. I probably put about 20 pieces of ice in there, and the rest is filtered water. And blend the heck out of it, and then that stays in the fridge. And I'll have a 3-ounce glass to boost me during the day, and otherwise I might have a full glass in the morning for breakfast, along with some.
And it lasts you how long?
Multigrain.
3 days or so.
Yeah, but it lasts me about 3 days.
Okay, would you like the simple version out there? What I do? Yes, we do. We want the simple version.
That's the Dr. Deagle super for. I call this is the Energizer. You're ready to go into orbit or go to the space station or on your way to your Mars mission that's going to take months. This is the formula I would take.
No, are you done?
I'm just kidding.
It's time for me to say my formula.
The Mishi formula.
The Mishi formula, which is just an average thing for the average person. And that would be a scoop of ageless, a scoop of life support, and a scoop of glycemics in the morning with just pure water, with clean filtered water. Stir it up, and that's it.
Yeah, you can never shake your glass. You don't even need to stir it with a spoon. You can get a shaker
Bill,
cup.
I'm talking.
Yeah.
Stir it up, and that's it for the day. I don't even like to shake it because I use chocolate. The ageless chocolate's so delicious. You get lumps of it. It's like Nestle's Quick. I told you that before.
That's what you use. I think when you're a kid, you're a Nestle Quick girl, right?
So this is the way to go that's simple. That's the Mishi way. And then I'll take my supplements right after that, and then I'll go on the treadmill, and then I do my run every day. That's it. So the simple life over here.
Good.
Okay.
Very good.
And who's the healthiest of all? Oh, it wouldn't be Mishi over here, would it? It is.
You have a lot of bottles with M on the top of it, so you take a lot of vitamins.
Uh-oh, I hear the music coming.
Uh-oh, and you
that
still
means
have
my
questions.
Weekend is starting, and I have a hairdresser appointment at 2:30. What time is it now? 1 o'clock.
Pacific time.
Yes.
What time
down
is
in
it?
Carlsbad, for all you San Diego listeners, you know it's gorgeous down there today, the beach. What?
Do you know what it is, CFT?
CFT, what is CFT?
Central Fukushima time.
Is that your next hour?
No, I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about that in the third hour. We've got lots of interesting new date time.
Okay. Well, everyone, thank you for listening. Have a great weekend. It's always a pleasure to be here. We'll see you next week. And God bless. And Daddy B, you're going to be back with what next hour?
Lots of wellness issues. By our way, our radiation station is fully operational. They can see the live if they go to our links. They can see the live radiation station, Cesium 137. It's showing up, and ours is the lowest along the coast.